I was woken up early. It was still dark. I hadn't slept properly for several days, but that morning the sleep was deep. The door to the room opened sharply. The light was turned on immediately. It hurt my eyes. I didn't have time to say anything. They told me to get up. They didn't ask. They ordered. The tone was cold. No shouting. That was worse than shouting. I asked what had happened. They didn't answer. They told me to get dressed faster. I reached for the wardrobe. They said, "Don't take anything." I thought it was a joke or pressure. I said I needed my documents. They told me the documents would stay there. I said it was illegal. They told me to shut up. I put on what I had on me: home pants, a t-shirt, a jacket. My phone was on the bedside table. I took it. They took it from my hands. They said I had no right to record anything. I asked where they were taking me. There was no answer. There were two more people in the hallway. One was silent. The other looked at me like I was an object. Not a person. Just an unnecessary item. They gave me someone else's shoes. They told me to leave mine. They took me out of the house. The door closed behind me. I understood I had no keys. I understood they didn't plan to bring me back. The car was dark. I sat in the back seat. The doors were locked. I tried to open them. It didn't work. No one spoke. The road was long. I didn't know where we were going. I tried to remember the turns, but I quickly lost orientation. I started asking again. They told me it was my own fault. For what? They didn't explain. They said I was creating problems. I said I wanted a lawyer. They laughed. They said this was not that kind of case. They took me to another city. I realized it from a sign I managed to see. They took me out of the car. The building was old. Gray. 2 floors. Metal doors. Inside it smelled damp. They told me to go in. I asked again about my belongings. They said, "You don't need them." I said my whole life was there. They said it was. The room was small. A bed. A chair. A table. A window with bars. The door was locked from the outside. I was alone. For the first hour I just sat there. I waited for someone to come in and say it was a mistake. No one came. I started knocking. They told me through the door to stop. I had no water. No food. No documents. No phone. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know how long it would last. The next day they gave me food. Cold. Tasteless. They gave water in a plastic bottle. They said I should be grateful. I didn't answer. After a few days they started talking to me. They came in one by one. They asked the same things. Why I was like this. Why I didn't keep quiet. Why I got involved where I shouldn't. I answered directly. They didn't like that. They told me I was no longer needed by anyone. They said I was written off. They said if I didn't sign the papers, it would be worse. I asked what papers. They said, "You'll see." They brought the papers later. It said that I had voluntarily left the house. That I had no claims. That I was giving up everything. I said it was a lie. They said the truth is what gets signed. I refused. After that they gave food less often. They turned off the light for long periods. I slept dressed. I started losing track of time. I counted the days by food deliveries. They told me again that I could get out of here if I signed. I asked where. They said, "Where we say." I understood they didn't see me as a person. I was a problem that had to be removed. Without noise. Without traces. Just taken away. Cut off. Erased. One night the door opened. They told me to get ready. I said I had nothing. They said it didn't matter. They put me in the car again. This time they took me even farther. They dropped me by the road. They gave me a bag. Inside were my old documents. Not all of them. They told me to walk and not look back. The car drove away. I stood on the roadside. Without money. Without a phone. Without a home. Without belongings. I was alive, and that was the only thing I had left. I walked. I didn't cry. Crying was pointless. I knew one thing: this was done on purpose. It was not a mistake. It was a system. Cold. Precise. Brutal. And it works.